Welcome. This is the PARTF application workshop for the 2018-19 grant cycle. I'm Charlotte Smith, Director of Recreation Resources Service, and we're going to review our application for this year. So our agenda today, which you will see in several videos presented through our YouTube account, is basically we'll give a brief introduction of the PARTF program, give you a little bit of detail about it, information from the Division of Parks and Recreation. We'll go over the funding schedule. Then we'll break into the requirements and resources, application components, information for those of you looking at land acquisition. There's a separate section on that. And then finally, we'll review the PARTF scoring system, which really helps you make sure that you have all your information together. And we'll review PARTF definitions. So as you're developing your planning documents, how we define those. So those will all be part of our presentation today. So really the primer is a three-step guide to developing a competitive application. Because you want it to be competitive. Every application that's submitted is a good application and a very worthy project, but how can it be competitive or more competitive? Plan a successful project. So make sure you've looked into the park, the redevelopment, renovation, land purchase that you're looking, and really see that you've had planned that through for a successful project. You want to begin your application early. The applications are due in May, so make sure you're already in the process. And most importantly is working with your RRS consultant throughout the process. And this just really helps you make sure you're not missing anything, if you have questions, and just kind of gets them familiar with the project so they can provide some information to help you make sure you submit a competitive application. So with that, just to introduce you to who our grant program contacts are, with Recreation Resources Service, we have 4 regions that we work with. Kyle Smith is in the Central West region. Jen Beadle-Munley is in the Central East. Judy Francis is in the Western region, and Luann Bryan is in the Eastern region of the state. And again, I'm Charlotte Smith, and I'm the Director of RRS, so I work with all of our consultants. And Nate Halupka is the Program Manager for Grants and Outreach with the North Carolina Division of Parks and Recreation. So he's with State Parks, and he's over the PARTF program, and State Parks works with Recreation Resources Service to administer this program. So with the overview of PARTF, it is the funds for the grants are appropriated by the General Assembly. This past year on Friday, August 24th, the authority awarded 27 grants totaling $6.7 million. So we anticipate that the funding amount for 2018 and 19, it is dependent on the state budget, but if nothing changes, the appropriated amount for local governments next year will be approximately $6 million. So again, we had the authority awarded 27 grants totaling $6.7 million. However, we had over $12 million in request. So that's why it's important to be competitive, because we always have a lot more fun. So if we can get more money in the trust fund, that would be great. So our funding schedule is in September 2018. Division of Parks and Recreation sends letters to inform all local governments about the funding schedule. October 3rd is when our application this workshop was conducted to explain the process and requirements. May 1st of 2019 are when applications are due. So they're due by 5 p.m. on that date. And they either need to be in the regional consultant's office with RRS or received, or it can be postmarked by the deadline. So that information will be out. Again, contact your consultant in your region or our main office for the locations if you're delivering them in person. And then in late summer of 2019, the Parks and Recreation Authority will meet to select the grant recipients. So just really a program summary of this. Eligible applicants are counties and incorporated municipalities. Joint applications are also eligible. Eligible projects can be land acquisition and development or can be just a development project. And it must be on a single site. So you can't apply for a grant, for example, that funds 2 different park locations within your community. It has to be a single site. We will review later if you have a greenway or a corridor type project. It needs to be connected, but we realize those might be separate parcels, for example. The maximum amount of money that you can request is $500,000. You can request less, and this program is a dollar for dollar match. So if you request $500,000, you need to be matching that with $500,000 or more. So again, it's a dollar for dollar match. Appraised value of donated land. So if someone's donating the land or selling it for less than appraised value, you can use that value as your sponsor's match, so it can contribute to that. And we'll review that a little later. And if you have that type of situation, please contact your consultant in the region and make sure you understand that you cannot take title of the property before the grant application. But also note that the value of in-kind services cannot be used as part of your match. Some grant programs work like that, either through labor or volunteer work. The PARTF program is not set up for that. So also remember that any property acquired with PARTF must be dedicated forever for public recreation use. So that's in perpetuity. And that's for if you're using the money to purchase land to acquire the property. If you're just using it for development of facilities or renovation of facilities, that those facilities must be in use for public recreation use for 25 years. Ineligible applications, so we always want to make sure that you double check key things, because there are times where we have applications submitted that are ineligible, and we hate to give those, have to return those. So double check everything. Site control is always an issue. You need to have ownership or site control of the property that you're proposing to build on. It has to be controlled by the applicant. So for example, a city cannot apply to build something on property it does not own or have site control over, either through a long-term lease or ownership, fee simple ownership. So we also look at evaluation of the applications, and just want to make sure you understand how those are. So the projects are evaluated by PARTF staff scoring team. So our RRS consultants, those with Nate's office in the Division of Parks and Recreation, we score them as a team. So we look at the scoring system. There will also be pre-award inspections that are completed by the consultants. They will come out to your park and or the site and do a pre-award inspection to help evaluate that part of the scoring system. And we also look at previous grant administration. So what do you have any active grants? Were you timely in completing those grants, completing the project scope that was proposed, or did you have any issues with that? So we look at the applications, the applicant's history of that with PARTF and with LWCF. So grant administration is part of that evaluation. The other factors, the park authority selects the grant recipients. So they look at the project description and justification. That's one page that you submit. So what do you present to them in that one page justification? They see the applicant's rank based on the scoring system. They also look at geographic distribution of funds. They make sure the money is spread out. They consider the population of the applicant, so they like to, the small populations, large populations, keep that balanced. Again, previous grant administration, the amount of funds requested balanced with the amount of funds available that they have to give out. So, there are a few minor updates from last year's application. We'll review those details today for those of you that are familiar with it. So don't always just base it on what you did last year. There might be some changes. But the Park Authority does look at a variety of things. It's not any one thing. It's not just the scoring system. It's a variety of things that they look at when they document, evaluate, and select grant recipients. So geographic distribution, a lot of people are looking at like our PARTF. These are the regions for RRS. So we only have 4 consultants. So you have the Eastern, Central East, Central West, and Western regions. That is not the geographic distribution that is used. It's the North Carolina Prosperity Zones from the Department of Commerce. So this is how they try to balance out as they're awarding projects. So keep those in mind. And again, you can see where your county is and which consultant that you will work with. And here's our RRS contact information. So Judy's information, you can go to the RRS website, rrs.cnr.ncsu.edu, right here, and click the contact information for your regional consultant. And you can always contact our main office here at 919-515-7118. So that's the basic information on our Park and Recreation Trust Fund. Now we'll turn you over to the other portions of our projects with the application to help you complete your application. Thank you.